Hello, welcome out there to everybody.
Well.
It is I and Gina, and we're here to talk Mandalorian. Welcome out
Woo.
there. Oh, you're gonna hear me twice for a second because I forgot I had the stream on and in the background. We're here to. There we go. Now you only hear one me, so that's better. We have Zolan and David and John all in the chat already. Thank you all for being here. Have a good time. So yeah, spoilers. It's in the title. There's a lot to talk about in this episode. There's some things to discuss. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want to be spoiler free, but for some reason you clicked on this, this is
you clicked the wrong video.
If you were like, I'm going to hide from Mandalorian spoilers in this Mandalorian video, this is your chance to get out.
Or maybe you're just like, I would like to be spoiled so that I can understand if the show is still amazing, in which case I'm here to tell you that it's still amazing. You should be invested.
This might be my new favorite episode, actually.
This is my favorite episode.
Yep. So this is pretty good. Mr. Spazworld, welcome. Snoke's like, oh yeah, it's alright. How are you, Snokes? So got you back on your feet. What an episode. Yeah, like, we're all like, yeah, this might be my favorite. Okay, so, a lot. Alright, so it's funny because I actually don't remember too much of any predictions I may have done in the stream you and I did with Django about Mando. But, like, there was one thing I thought would be awesome, but I never thought in a million years would actually happen. Like, the pipe dream that I thought would be so cool, but I was like, nah, we're not going to get that, was Cobb Vanth. and
I didn't even remember that prediction at all. So when I watched twice this morning, I woke up like at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And so the first time I went through, like, his name was in my closed captionings, and I was like, this is gonna be someone everyone knows, isn't it? I don't know.
Well, like, I don't even think I made it a full prediction. I feel like somebody asked me about it, and I was like, that would be awesome, but there's no way they're gonna do it.
And then they did.
So, for those of you who don't know who Cobb Vanth is, Cobb Vanth comes from the Aftermath trilogy by Chuck Wendig. And the Aftermath trilogy, which there's a wonderful book club of all 3 books here on the channel, if I can plug that, has these things in it called interludes. And interludes take you away from the main story, and they're just like these short little, like, 5-page short stories, effectively, of, like, other things going on in the galaxy. And there's one story with Cobb Vanth in it per book. So, like, there's 3 interludes with him in it. And the first one is him, well, they're all on Tatooine, but it's him and some Jawas in a sandcrawler, and he's buying armor that's like Mandalorian armor, and it's acid marked. And everyone was like, oh, so Boba Fett got eaten by the Sarlacc, and Cobb Vanth bought his armor. But it never says in the interlude that it's Boba's armor. It's just like he bought some Mandalorian's armor that happened to look half digested on Tatooine. And it goes a little bit different than the flashback, and I can get into that if anybody cares about how much this matches canon or whatever. But he picks that up, and then he becomes the marshal of the city that he lives in the show. And there's interactions with Tusken Raiders and stuff, and like a mining guild. It's not for line what happens in the book, but I think there's some room for the interludes to be from a certain point of view in a way, just like the from a certain point of view books. I think there's some room for his flashbacks to be his own point of view in the show. And yeah, what Zolan is saying, that it might have been abbreviated. Yeah. And like, if you haven't read Aftermath and you don't know anything about him, you don't miss out on anything. Like, his story is there and you get it. But if you have read Aftermath, it's just so cool that he's in it. So I didn't know anything about the episode when I sat down. Like, I knew it was going to be called Chapter 9 or whatever, but I didn't know what the title was going to be. So I'm sitting there, and Mando's talking to John Leguizamo, and he's like, you got to go to Tatooine. And I'm like, okay, we're going back to Tatooine. That's interesting. And they're like, there's a Mandalorian there. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. and then the title card comes up and it says The Marshal. And I just texted Professor Django and I was like, they didn't. Like, at the title card, I was like, what? And then they get there, and he's like, is there anybody who looks like me? And they're like, it's the Marshal. And they turn over, and I'm like, that's Boba's armor. They didn't. And at this point, I have forgotten all about, like, the Timothy Oliphant rumors and all of that stuff, because I just kind of put all that out of my mind. And he's literally like, I'm Cobb Vanth. And I'm like... and I ascended to a new plane. So anyway, that was my experience with it.
One thing I really like about that is I'm sure other fans also had that reaction. Yep. I've only ever seen two other things. This Is Where I Leave You and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's the name of that movie, right? Mm-hmm. With Timothy in it. And so I knew that there were rumors. I've never seen a single Die Hard. I just know it's a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie, so you got that much right. You're darn right it's a Christmas movie.
So I'll watch it this Christmas. But I guess he plays like a lot of Sheriff Marshal characters. So other people saw the title and they were like, this is the episode he's in, just from like being fans of his work. So I'm glad everyone's making connections except Gina, who literally knew nothing.
So yeah, David says R5 Scorch March was cool. It's cool to see R5 again. Cab Vance telling the third-party story with different versions. That's true. Hello, Brennan. Welcome. Zolan says, at first didn't know whose armor it was until they saw the scorch mark on the helmet. Yeah. So there's a lot to talk about, because I do want to talk about the beginning of the episode and the one-eyed guy, and what we saw there. I obviously want to talk about my son, who had some very adorable moments in this episode. I want to talk about the crate dragon. I prefer to pronounce it Krat Dragon, even though it's wrong, because I don't think crates are scary. But I understand that it's pronounced crate. Like there's a lot. So I don't know. Hey, Mr. Rez, welcome. So I don't know. Where would you like to start, Gina? Because I know like you've been waiting to get to talk about the Mandalorian again.
This is like the one of few things I'm happy about. Yes. Well, first of all, from like an overall perspective, I saw this one tweet that like pointed out something I didn't even realize. And I wish I remember who said it so I could credit them. But they said either they blew the entire budget on this first episode or everything's about to look spectacular.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it and I was like, this really sets a tone. So if you think about it, with the first season, no idea what to expect about story, about pacing, about any of that. But now, like, we have and for me personally, this blew the expectations. You know, we're going good, but also like they've got a ways to go up. This first episode was great, like visually, like everything about it. So I was just like, yeah, that's the way you start a season.
I thought about you because of as somebody who has never seen Game of Thrones, just something with the dragon, I was like, I wonder if Gina's getting Game of Thrones vibes off of this.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. Totally.
Ray's here. Ray, welcome. Thank you guys for being here. If you haven't already, please like the stream. I would appreciate it a lot. But, so...
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was good. And, like, the acid, like, it was dripping acid and all that. But I've been in suspense, because you've told me that this episode has your favorite scene in it, but you haven't told me what it is.
Okay, I'll tell you. But first of all, when it started spitting acid, I was remember the moment from The Rise of Skywalker when they're like, they fly now?
Yes.
I had that moment in my living room, like very tired. I was like, it spits acid now.
They spit acid now?
That's where I was going. Okay,
that'll be somebody make that meme for us and put it on the tweet.
Yes. Okay, so I'm really glad you mentioned Game of Thrones because that's one of those shows where a bunch of people die, and your fave could go anytime, and The Mandalorian's not going to do that to you. I feel like Disney's not going to do that to you. But we get to the actually Disney did that to me.
Sorry, too soon, right? It hasn't been a year yet. It's still too soon.
I have complicated feelings, okay? But we get to the end of this episode, and I'm actually like crying. Like it's an hour long, which first of all, didn't realize it was going to be
I
an hour.
know. Right? Can we
I was
just
like,
get a
thank
raise
you.
the roof on the 55-minute episode here for a second? Okay.
And so now it's around like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And I'm just like, did my fave just die? And I'm just like, is there no more Mandalorian? Is it Cobb? Is he the Mandalorian now? And so
There's
I'm
just
over
a
here
new
crying.
Mandalorian every season.
And then like when he like busts out and it's this whole thing and he like does basically superhero land, I was like, that's the coolest freaking thing I have ever seen in my life. So that's my new favorite moment because I was like super emotional because I was like, and then I was like, no, that's dope.
I was like, at some point, I was like, I wonder if someone's gonna get swallowed by this thing, and then he did, and I was like,
well, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was super shocked. I mean, I get the point when the Tusken Raiders and then it went for the Tusken Raider instead. Yeah. Every single time one of them got eaten, I was just like a little stress ball. And I was just like, why? So I was like not expecting it to eat anyone.
It's like, I'm too smart. I've picked up on not eating these things. No, that was good. I think there were so many scenes in this that just made me so happy. I liked the scene where they're like planning and they have like the skeleton and the little dots, and he's like, that's not to scale. And they're like, it's to scale. He's like, that's not to scale. And he's like, it's to scale. And I don't know why, but that just made me laugh so hard.
The part after it where he was like, where'd you get the rest of these people or whatever? He was like, I volunteered. And I was like, that part got me. I was like, of course he volunteered your people.
Like, obviously.
Every single time, I think he only said it twice, and I don't remember the exact line, but every single time he was like, I've been quested to find, it added 10 years. Yeah. I was like, I love this phrasing. You've been quested to find, let's go.
So like, all right, so let's talk about that for a second. So like, that's gonna be the overall story, presumably, of the season, is that he is off to find Baby Yoda's people, which is kind of an interesting series of events to me, because instead of asking around for Jedi, he's asking around for Mandalorians so he can ask them about the Jedi. Yeah. Which, sure, but it's just kind of funny. He's like, we need to find the Mandalorians so they can find the Jedi, so that the Jedi... And he, of course, has no idea that the Jedi aren't even really his people. And so I just think that's kind of funny.
So I did rewatch these episodes, and that's another reason why I wasn't expecting it to be an hour long, because I remembered these episodes as being longer than I thought. So I guess it's because when I talk about them, I do my best to watch them twice every time. So when I went back to rewatch them like this week or last week, I was like, okay, these are 30 minutes. And then I ended up doing the whole thing in like one day, and I was like, my bad. But I don't remember, does he have predisposed feelings about Jedi already? I forget.
Well, he does, to the extent that the armorer says that the Jedi are a race of wizards that used to fight the Mandalorians. So I think so he would assume he would assume they're enemies, but I don't know that I recall him saying he met one or anything. Like, I think he just would have the cultural understanding.
If I assumed they were my enemy, I also would not just go searching for Jedi.
That's fair. So like, go through the Mandalorians to find them.
I'd come with you back up.
There's a lot going on in chat. Zolan's wondering what if they could bump into Sabine eventually, because Sabine would know where Ahsoka is. Largely, we stay away from leaks and whatnot on this channel, but there's just been a lot of buzz that Ahsoka could show up. But I mean, like, I don't know. We'll see how things go, because some of it, I think, is people seeing one thing and assuming something. So like, to kind of jump away to something else, the way this goes, I think a lot of people saw like Timothy Olyphant and saw him in Boba's armor and assumed he was playing Boba Fett, which is where a lot of people were wondering if it was going to be Cobb. And like, I never thought it was actually going to be Cobb Vanth, because I didn't think we would get something that I wanted so much. But then I was like, okay, see, all the rumors about Boba Fett weren't true because they just assumed this. And then we get to the end, and it was funny because again, I was texting Professor Django, and I didn't recognize Tamara, so I texted Django like, "Who's Baldo?" And then we got through the credits, and it said, "And Tamara Morrison." I was like, "What? That was what?" And then I like had to go back and rewatch it, and I'm like, "Oh."
I watched the episode twice. And I was like the aspect ratio changed, and I was like, something's happening. I don't really know film language, but I know enough to know something's happening. And so it got to the end, and I was like, okay, well, you're gonna show up next episode. And then I kept going, and then I watched it again, and I was like, who is this person? And then I got on Twitter, and I was like, Gina, you're dumb. And I was like, and then I went back, like fast forward straight to that moment, and I was like squinting, and I was like, no, never mind. Yeah, you do look like yourself. My bad.
I mean, in fairness, just for the sake of saying things, it's technically plausible that he could be, because there were rumors that it could be Rex, and so then the idea is like, is he? But like, I don't think that's going to be a thing. I think he's going to be Boba at this point. But people who would see him might not necessarily like gather that. The one thing I do remember from our speculation stream is I still kind of am. I was very lukewarm on Boba being in the show, but I have to be honest, how they're doing it is really interesting to me, because I didn't think we'd get Cobb Vanth anyway, but the idea that we have both Cobb Vanth and Boba, so it's not like Boba's walking around in his Boba armor on Tatooine doing things. It's the idea that Boba's been like trapped presumably on Tatooine. The shows I think is 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and so he's just been in the desert doing who knows what. Like, that to me is more interesting than, here I am, I'm the bounty hunter that everyone knows, and you can't have the Mandalorian without me. And like that wasn't interesting. But I am kind of interested in Boba trapped on Tatooine for 5 years in weird monk armor. Like, what's he doing? So like, like I said, I was texting with Django, who's not often available on Fridays, so he will probably join us at some point, but like probably not on the regular for these. But he was like, Star Wars keeps doing this thing where it gives me things I didn't want in ways that I really like, and I'm like, that really sums up how I feel about it. Like, I don't think I want this, but I really like how they're doing it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not like a strong dislike. I just don't care for the character, and yet my interest and my curiosity is piqued so much. I'm that Leonardo DiCaprio meme from Django Unchained, where it's like,
what? No,
you have my attention. So I really want to know what's gonna happen, despite me not thinking I would want to know what was going to happen.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. No, I was doing the pointing meme, which is not the right one. But that's the Leo meme that I was thinking of, like.
No, but that movie, I mean, it counts. By the way, I was going to say, how can you not think that this show was going to give you, like, everything you wanted when it gave you your son?
I mean,
this show is your dream factory. It's giving you everything.
I just thought that I thought between Baby Yoda and The Rise of Skywalker, I had used up all of my they make Star Wars for Jess points, and I didn't have any more to cash in. And apparently they're like, no, we're just still making Star Wars for Jess.
So here's what happened. That whole summer we were talking about dope tuna and just like sprouting off. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni were secretly just like jotting things down, like, ha ha ha, little do they know.
Planet of Yodas. Planet of Yodas. Planet of Yodas. I'm gonna hold out. If we get Planet of Yodas, then I will know they're making Star Wars specifically for me.
Specifically for you. Well, the other thing I was going to say was thinking about season 1 and how I thought that, like, how it would go with like the storyline of Baby Yoda finding him, etc., was like way faster than I thought. And then I was like, what else are you going to do? And they gave us stuff. Now I'm curious about when and if he's going to find, the Mandalorian's going to find Jedi or a planet of Yodas. Because I'm automatically assuming it's going to happen at the end. But then I was like, that's not how it happened first season. And
Right.
they're keeping me on my toes. And so they could do the same formula.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, I probably wouldn't have an issue with that. But then they could also switch it up. And I also probably would not have an issue with that.
I wonder too. So like, if we go with what the like, so like there again, there's all the scuttlebutt that Ahsoka could show up. It's not for sure. I don't
Mm-hmm.
follow leaks. I don't, but like, let's say that's hypothetically true, and let's say hypothetically it's not the end of the season, but like they find her rather quickly. Ahsoka isn't truly a Jedi herself, but she
Mm-hmm.
would recognize that Baby Yoda isn't a Jedi like as a species. So I think that if Ahsoka is in the show and they find her kind of soon, which I think is more likely than not, because if she was just like the last shot of season 2, I don't think there would be. If the leaks are true, I don't think and if she was like the last shot of season 2, I don't think it would have gotten leaked. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if she is in the show, she's probably going to come up sooner than like the final shot.
Yeah.
And I think that will change the plot line
Mm-hmm.
because
Oh,
that would be the catalyst to change what the through line is.
also, like, I like Ahsoka
Mm-hmm.
and respect to Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's not a big enough end of season
Right.
cliffhanger. Also, it's not like last time when we, got this dark saber. So I
Yeah.
think it would have to be something else.
I feel like they've done so well at keeping certain things. I mean, I guess less so in season 2, maybe because everybody was on the hunt with Baby Yoda. But I agree. I think that whatever they have planned for the end is going to be something that's a little bit more under wraps. We're jumping all over the place, but like, even though it's probably the least exciting part of the episode, which doesn't say a lot because everything in the episode was exciting, so I feel like everything is exciting even if it wasn't least exciting.
Sure.
The beginning where he goes and he's at the fight, I thought that was interesting just because clearly that guy has been hunting down Mandalorians, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And just that kind of gives you an idea of how the Mandalorians are going in the galaxy. And I liked, like, as soon as I saw the glowing red eyes, I was like, dang it, Filoni, you put wolves in here, didn't you?
The first time I watched it, I was like, I'm sorry, what are these? And then I was like, oh no, probably what they are.
It's like, there's a Filoni wolf getting in there. Also skinny / fit Gamorreans, right? That Jabba apparently had slackers. I don't know. No, that whole part was cool, and I liked that. Like, just seeing, I mean, we'd seen a lot of that fight in the trailer, to be honest. But I like just kind of seeing that play out, and he can take down a room full of people all by himself, basically. And I like the idea that he just carts Baby Yoda with him everywhere. Like, and I love the look on Baby Yoda's face. He's just like, I don't like this, but I'm going.
No, yeah, in that one moment, I feel like do we know like the amount of time between the first season and the second season?
I don't know if we know. I don't think it was said in the show. So if we know, it's from some production detail I haven't seen. Welcome, Neil is in the chat, and also to Brian. Hello, everybody.
Well, I was just gonna say, because we don't know how much time there is, but I feel like they've got a routine or pattern going, specifically the wherever I go he goes. And so I really like that it just dropped us in this is how father and son work.
Yeah,
let's do this is what's happening. And because they had played so much of that in the trailer, it was like familiar to me.
Right.
So I was like, here we go, we're doing this again, this is how they work. He learned from always leaving him on the ship, and thank you.
I like too that the opening shot is literally them together. So I was like, they're like, okay, they know what people are tuning in for.
Yep. Yeah.
they know why the crowd's here. They're not gonna play. So that was cool. And then they, like I said, they go to Tatooine, and I like I can't remember the character's name, but the lady that always fixes the ship, she was great.
I think it's like Pele Moto or something like that.
Sounds right.
I was really excited to see her, actually.
Yeah.
So I knew we were going to go back to Tatooine at some point, So I was ready for it.
Mhm.
One, I'm happy that it happened in this episode
Yep.
because kind of you get it out the way. I mean, I enjoyed this episode, obviously. But I also want to see new things. And so I'm kind of happy but also, so when they first said it, I was like, I also channeled my inner Finn, and I was like, why does everyone want to go back to Tatooine? But then it was like, but then it was like really, really cool, and I was like way more accepting. But I almost had the okay moment in the beginning. But then I was like, no.
Well, and I think we might be there for a little bit because of presumably Boba there at the end.
Yeah.
Unless they leave and like Boba sneaks on his ship or something, which is plausible. But I'm still holding out that we're going to see Fennec again. So I think
I was looking for her in this episode.
So now let's like rewind back in speculation times. In what was it, 6 with the Tatooine episode last season? The gunslinger or whatever it was called. The end, you have Fennec's, we'll call it body, but probably still living body. And then there was the person that walked up to her with the spurs, and that's when all of the Boba speculation has been around since the show came out, but a lot of people thought that it might be Boba, and then people were like, yeah, but in canon Boba doesn't still have his armor, and could Cobb Vanth be in the show? And that's when all of that really started. And now I'm wondering, maybe after all this circles around, it really was Boba who went up to Fennec. It just wasn't Boba in his armor.
Yeah, I really hope so. I mean, they've given you everything else you want, so let's hope they give you this. The other thing that I was super really happy, but also got kind of sad about, but then really happy about, was the moment when she was like, he doesn't like droids. And he was like, no, let them. And I was like, look at this character growth. But then I was also like, oh, but the IG droid died. And that's why this is happening, because he gained your trust and then he died.
Neil says 5 was Tatooine. Thank you, Neil. But I liked that too. And then I thought when the droids were like busting that pipe or whatever, he was gonna be like, nope, never mind. Take it back.
That's so hilarious. Also the moment when she was like, can I keep him? Just kidding, but not really. I was like, so they basically just put fan thought into the script.
She's like, if it ever like splits off or something, like, oh,
she was all of us in that moment.
She was every fan, like, but no, I would take it. And then she was like, he's like, I gotta take him back to his kind. Like, I've never seen his kind before. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
So then he gets the speeder bike. To rewind for just, I remember what I was going to say about the alien at the beginning, the One-Eyed Alien. It makes me think of the gallery episodes where Grief Karga was supposed to be an alien. And then they were like, no, we can't have an alien and a guy in a suit. And it was like, they finally got to do it.
Yeah.
So then he rides to the city, and I liked when he met Vanth, and Vanth was like, I figured we'd have to fight, but then I saw the kid. He's like, and then are we gonna fight in front of the kid? And he's like, he's seen worse.
I was like, and I do not mean like sarcastically or ironically, Parents of the Year award. Which reminds me of the comment you made earlier when they were at that fighting ring and everyone was gambling, and he was like, I don't like this, but my dad's gonna do it, so okay. And that's just baby Yoda's used to it, and that's all it is.
Oh man, Ray has come in with a meme. We'll be putting that on the Discord later. That is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you, Ray. Also, this has to do with the Mandalorian, but not really plot points, but
okay.
For people who don't know, I am lactose intolerant, but even though I became lactose intolerant in high school, I've always hated the taste of milk. And so I was just thinking about blue milk, and looks disgusting. It's just gross. And I know it's at Galaxy's Edge. Did you have it?
I did. I tried both the blue and the green milk. So
does it taste like actual milk?
It doesn't, because it's the stuff you get on the street is made out of coconut. So the only place to get actual milk is if you go into Aga's Cantina because it's refrigerated. But the stuff you would walk around outside in the park because it's 9 bazillion degrees and humid, they make it with coconut. So it's vegan. It's like if you're lactose intolerant, you could drink it. And it's more like, I don't want to say it's like a slushy because it's not. I mean, it's basically made with coconut milk, but it's not as thick of a consistency as milk was. Like if you went and somebody else in your family got it, I'd try it, but like it's fruity. Like one of them raspberry and one of them is wild berry, I think maybe. Yeah, it's like a smoothie, is what Zolan says. It's basically it's really more of a smoothie than milk. You can get real milk in the bar.
Oh no! Everyone wear a mask so I can go to Disney.
Yeah, right. Oh, I want to go back to Galaxy's Edge so bad. Oh, Gina, you wouldn't survive in Wisconsin. There's a lot of dairy in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I would just die there.
I loved Vance's speeder bike. Was basically like a pod racer engine.
Yeah.
And that bit led me to a question I've often had in many places in Star Wars, which is how do people talk to each other on speeder bikes?
It's not possible.
Like usually I can pass it off because they have like some sort of headgear or something, but Vance, as soon as you saw Vance's face, that helmet never went back on.
It's so true. Well, first of all, Jess, I don't know if you knew this. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but it's fake and it's in space.
Why didn't the bombs drop? I don't know why the bombs dropped. Is it Anakin's? I thought it looked like Anakin's, David, but I wasn't sure. It was officially
also, I appreciate the no helmet hair thing. They just, because it's fake and it's in space. You don't get helmet hair in space.
It's true. And Ray says it's because Timothy Oliphant is hot and be ashamed to always have his helmet on. Again, Disney doesn't have the best track record with that.
Honestly, because then they would show me Pedro's face way more often.
It is. You've seen it 3 times already. All right, cool. Yeah, no, the first time I watched the episode, and I was just taking it in, I hadn't talked to anybody yet. I didn't really notice it. And then after I talked to some people and realized that the entire internet is thirsting over Cobb Vanth, I watched the episode again. I was like, oh, this show knows what it's doing because he's constantly posing. There's so many shots to his face for no reason. There's no reason for a reaction shot from Cobb Vanth in that moment, other than they're like, huh?
So I think it is just like before he was even on the show, it's just universally recognized that this is an attractive man.
Yeah.
But I would also like to think that they heard all of my personal complaints about never getting to see Pedro's face. And they were like, we have to keep this plot line going for specific reasons. But Gina, we will like tide you over and give you this other attractive man and his face.
It was an apology. It was an apology to you for all of the crimes committed against you in 2019.
Yes.
So like we can't take back 2019, but we can give you Timothy Oliphant right now.
Yes.
So John has a good point of he keeps his helmet off to differentiate him from the Mandalorian from a production standpoint. John, you're correct. You're correct, but it's also
like you're
for Gina.
technically right. Yeah.
It's also for Gina.
How about this? You're correct 10% of the way, and 90% of it is for
Gina. It's an apology for Gina.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's good. That's good. No, I'm serious. Next time you watch the episode, just notice when they cut to his face. All the times there was just no reason to, other than the show knew what it was doing. And it's really amusing.
Other than the fact that you're a Star Wars fan. I don't know if anyone knew this, but Jess likes Star Wars.
It's kind of a secret. It's low key.
And then other than the fact that your son was there,
Ray,
whenever he
anytime. Sorry.
When he was telling his story about how he got the armor, like, Jess, she's gonna love this.
Yep.
So I was like, this really is like your episode. Like I had that actual thought at like
Yeah.
once again, like 5:30 in the morning. I was like, Jess is gonna love this when she gets to watch it.
Well, some of you guys might know I have a gecko named, I pronounce it Krat because I think Krat is a better pronunciation because I don't think crates are scary. But I have a lizard named after a crate dragon. And he's the same color as that, as the one that was in the show. So as much as I don't like seeing crate dragons die, it was still cool to see one in the show. And just as a fandom standpoint, for my KOTOR fans in the chat, if you've ever played Knights of the Old Republic, you fight a crate dragon on Tatooine in a cave that looks a lot like that cave, and you do it by luring him out of the cave with banthas, and then he walks onto mines and gets blown up, and then you get a crate dragon pearl from him, and that was what the round object was at the end. So like the whole, other than the spitting acid thing and the digging through the sand thing, which were both new to this, it was basically a KOTOR. Although what I also thought was funny is I was like, okay, Star Wars, I see what you're doing. You have Timothy Oliphant and a creature that digs through the sand. It might be a different Timothy, but you're out here trying to be Dune before Dune, and it's not lost on me.
Go to sleep. Just go to sleep. This is Dune. This is basically Dune. They knew that they knew it was going to get pushed back, and we weren't going to get it this year. Yep. So they gave us Dune.
They gave us Dune anyway, with a different Timothy, with a different Timothy with an equally obscure last name. And they were like, "Oh, so you're going to give us like teenage to early 20s Ben Solo looking Dune boy? We're gonna give you Cobb Vanth, and we're gonna see where the thirst goes."
Which once again was specifically for me because I love Timothée Chalamet. Everything is for Gina. They said, Gina, we've recognized you. Tough year.
They were like, you know what? Jess is hogging Star Wars right now, so we'll do a little bit for Gina too.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Oh, I can't breathe. Everyone here is like, so this whole summer they talked about like Narnia and Marvel instead of Star Wars, and now they're still not talking about Star Wars. They're just laughing. That's all they're doing, laughing.
Which is how you know we're doing Star Wars wrong, because we should be angry if we're doing Star Wars.
You may have noticed we don't have any threads on Twitter. Where are our threads? We're not angry.
Where is the anger? One of these days, I really want to like do a thread about being mad about something, but never say what it is, and just like really vaguely be angry about something, and then see what people say in response.
Everyone's gonna be like, you're subtweeting X, Y, and Z, and you're just gonna be pulled in so many.
And I'm like, I haven't been on Twitter in like 2 months, son. I'm not subtweeting anybody. I don't know what you do here. I forgot where the retweet button is. Anyway, sorry. We're getting way off topic. Ray said something about reimagining of the Crate Dragon, and I'm like, yes. It would be something with the same Sarlacc. It would be something. I at first, before we saw it was the Crate Dragon, I was like, is it the Sarlacc? Can Sarlacc like swim through the sand? Like, what is this? And then he was like, it's a Crate Dragon. And I was like, I think that was the actual sound I was making. It was pretty exciting.
I remember thinking that this is like a whichever episode had Ran in it, I don't remember. But it turned into basically a horror movie at the end.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, look at this different type. Look at this like psychological suspense.
Yep.
Where's the Crate Dragon? And I was like, we're doing this. Once again, this was my choice, I know. But 5:30 in the morning, I was like, let me scare myself.
It's the best time to watch. And then somebody else had said, I can't remember who, but somebody had said that they really wanted to see prequel planets, which I'm for. But I thought there was a lot of really good references, like the pod racer in general. If it was Anakin's pod racer, that's even cooler. But then the Mastiffs, the dogs that the Tuskens had, were from Attack of the Clones. Like I thought there was a pit droids in general are prequel references. There was a lot of really cool stuff in here that I thought tied in.
Which once again is them really knowing their audience, I think, and understanding, what people want to see.
Ray knows
which
what
I think.
I'm talking about. Sorry.
Did Jon Favreau directed this episode?
I think
Did he
so,
write
yeah.
this episode?
I think he wrote and directed this one. Yeah.
Did he write and direct the other Tatooine one from?
Filoni wrote the other Tatooine one because I remember that's when everybody was either like, "This is Filoni again," or was that the other one? I think he
did.
I think he directed it because Filoni directed the first one, but Favreau wrote the first one, and I think the Tatooine one was the one where he directed again, but he also wrote. I think. Well, Brian is saying yes, he did, and I'm assuming that's to what we're talking about, but I don't actually know.
Because the reason I bring it up is for people who don't know me and my opinions on Star Wars, I generally like everything. I don't really like to dislike things unless there's a valid reason. And so, I mean, I thought that episode was okay, but it wasn't my favorite. And so it was interesting for me to compare the two Tatooine episodes and the different feels of them. Because I remember the first one when it came, everyone was like, either you really liked it or you didn't care for it. Right. Except I think most people generally and genuinely like this one. And so I was just like, it does have a different feel. Yeah. And so, just comparison's sake.
Makes sense. Oh, this one managed to feel like, for a show that was already a Western in space, this felt more like a Western in space, I think.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Let's see, what else do we got? I kind of talked about that. Oh, can we talk about the toothbrush for the bantha?
Yes!
Can we spend, like, a large amount of time on a toothbrush for a bantha? It was so small, and yet it made me happy.
Wait, this is the dope tuna brand.
Do you think that guy, because I feel like there's two scenarios. There's the scenario where that guy was like, ugh, I can't believe I got toothbrush duty again. Or there's the scenario where, like, that is the most sacred duty and honor. Where, like,
most sacred duty and honor.
Yep.
They care about dental hygiene in the galaxy far, far away.
They might be brutal. I mean, that was Din's word for them, right? That they're brutal. But they care about their dental hygiene.
Yep, that's one of the defining characteristics of their culture. Your dental hygiene.
Yep. For the first time, John is excited about this as well. I was like, is that guy brushing the, and I'm like, you'd kind of assume that banthas smelled bad, but, like, they're probably really well cared for. They sure sacrificed those banthas quick. Well, that's true. Maybe that's why they were brushing his teeth.
So it tastes better for the Great Dragon.
Great Dragon doesn't want to eat something with nasty breath.
Oh no! And can you imagine, like, spending all that time, like, brushing teeth and then it doesn't even get eaten?
Maybe that's why. Maybe this guy was like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna brush the bantha's teeth so it's like it's happy in its last night. But then, because it doesn't have bad breath, the Great Dragon couldn't find it. So then he gets eaten instead.
Oh no.
If they ever did From a Certain Point of View in the future, if we get From a Certain Point of View novels for Star Wars, and I'm famous enough to get one, I will write the story of the guy who brushes the bantha's teeth, and that's why he got eaten.
No, here's what happens.
Yep.
Never ask Cavan Scott for a single thing ever. And then when it gets to that time, say, haven't we been such great friends? I've never asked you for anything. Can you tell him to let me write this?
Please. I know no one knows who I am, but I need to write the story.
Just build up, like, a lot of goodwill. Never ask for anything until that.
And then all the cards. on that story, it would be perfect. It would be worth it. That's all I want. All I want.
Honestly, I did get a little sad when I saw that they were sacrificing that had like all explosives on it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's gonna blow up and this is gonna get like really, like I found myself like tearing up and I was like, this is sad. It's necessary, but it's sad. And then it made me think of Star Wars Resistance because I felt like for a while they were kind of doing a monster of the week thing there.
Yeah.
But sometimes it'd be like we need to kill this creature. And then sometimes it would be like, no, fun fact, this creature's just like misunderstood. So for a hot second, I was really wondering if the Krayt Dragon was going to be misunderstood.
Yep.
But then no, it was not.
it was the Tuskens that were misunderstood, I think.
It's true. That is true.
But I liked that too with because I feel like how do I put this? It was a really interesting. I hate that I say that is really. If you ever watch my book club videos, I say this is interesting like 80 times a video, and I'm editing it, and I'm trying to find ways to cut out me saying this is interesting, and I hate it. So anyway, you guys need to get like a bell, and if I say this is interesting, you need to like ring it so I learn and stop saying that word. Anyway, I thought it was intriguing how it was the classic like, oh, the Tuskens aren't really as bad, but I liked that it wasn't really that they were completely misunderstood. Thank you, Ray. Because when they're at the camp and Cobb has to drink the nasty thing, or doesn't drink the nasty thing, how he's like, well, they know how many Tuskens you've killed. He's like, they raided me first, but I mean, like, they may have, and so it makes sense. I keep kicking a water over and spilling it all over my floor. It's not relevant to the point I'm making, but it's interesting though. But but I liked that it wasn't like, while on the one hand making the point that the Tusken Raiders are not vicious, mindless monsters like Cleve Lars says, that it's also complicated, right? That they do go out there and kind of there is reason to not trust them.
I actually wrote that down as a point. I was like, I'm really glad that like it wasn't immediate like kumbaya in this whole episode. And I was thinking about like the first time we see them, how they're presented, and we think they're, wild, and then we get this more understanding in the first season, and now so they're just giving me more understanding in layers, and I always appreciate more understanding in layers. And so I also really, really appreciated that.
Yeah. I think anytime you keep something from being super simplistic when you have this medium, and I feel bad saying that because I feel like what so many people praise about the original trilogy is it was in a time of cynicism, the good guys were good guys and the bad guys were bad guys, and it was, and like I can appreciate that, but then I don't know, I do like it when I don't think there's enough stories out there that teach us how to handle situations where nobody's right or everybody's right. Just to actually get serious for a second. And that's something I've struggled with in my own life this year with all of the craziness 2020 is bringing, is like being in scenarios where people have valid concerns but are not handling them in valid ways. And I feel like we don't have a lot of stories that tell that. And you can have a story where there's good guys and bad guys, but then also teaches you how to navigate that when it does get more complicated.
Well, what I like about that is stories reflect our time, and we get to tell stories that we both need and want, and give us things that maybe we don't get in real life. So when I watch Star Wars with my dad, he's like, well, this is how life was like when I was a kid. And then I can, well, not exactly life, because, he didn't, not from space, but but I see like what his generation needed as a kid. And when my, future offspring watch The Mandalorian with me, because I'm going to make them watch Star Wars, they can be like, oh, this is dope. And then hopefully they'll still be making Star Wars.
Right.
And I can be like, look at what you're getting. And that's why it's generational. And that's why Star Wars is good.
That's true. I agree with all of that. So what else did I have in my notations?
I will admit I freaked out. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to change topic, so go for it.
I was going to say I freaked out when they had the conversation. He was like the abandoned Sarlacc pit. And he was like, if you eat it. And I was like, oh, things are happening. How would you eat it? And then I couldn't comprehend. And then I was like, but wait, how big is it?
Mm-hmm.
And then I just decided not to think about that anymore.
I feel like so like the business end of the sarlacc is its mouth, right? But the crate dragon can tunnel under the sand, so I feel like
Ooh, that's a good point.
it could tunnel and eat it from the side where the mouth isn't.
I wonder if it tasted good. Probably not.
It probably, I mean, all those thousands of years, it's probably stale by now.
That's the kind of thinking you get from me. When all you're doing is working on a type of thoughts I have to offer.
No, that's good. Those are the important questions. Those are the questions we're not afraid to ask here. What did the sarlacc taste like?
Hard-hitting journalism.
I mean, I definitely thought about it at the end when they blew it up. I'm like, and then the Tuscans ate for months.
Yeah.
What I realized. I liked just to talk about my son for a moment. I liked the bit where they were at the camp, and like the dog was like eyeing him, and he's just like sitting there like, I don't know what my dad is making me do, but I'm here. And the best part though is when he's in the spit pot.
It's true. That was so cute. Also breaking. Spoiler alert, and Jess voices Baby Yoda, and that's his exact voice. You heard it here first.
I'm gonna hide in this spit pot while you fight a dragon.
Ow.
Yeah, I was sitting at the feet of my dad at the camp. I was just sitting there looking at the fire, hoping, man, I hope I don't have to control this fire this time because I got real tired the last time I had to do that.
I love that this is on the internet forever.
Hi guys, how are ya? I'm really happy to be here.
That has to happen in every episode. Also, the whole time they were fighting the dragon, I was just like, who's watching Baby Yoda? If this thing even gets near and opens its mouth, I will just go through the TV and slay this dragon.
Like, this kid is going to learn to be very self-sufficient. I feel like after Baby Yoda never stayed put once in the first season, Mando now is just like, he's gonna go where he's gonna go. I can't control him. He's a free spirit.
Oh my goodness, exactly.
Keep him in the pod. Jeray's having a good time with it.
Also, what did Mando say? He said something specific that was basically like a curse, but not really. What was it?
Oh yeah, it was like Farzan or yeah, I remember. Because
I thought of you. I was like, I feel like Jess would say that, like in everyday regular life.
So I'm really disappointed in the Star Wars fandom as a whole, and I really hope we can fix the fact that we have not been yelling Poe Dameron as a curse.
I'm fixing that in my day-to-day life.
It's really satisfying, too, just in case anyone's wondering.
Okay, you guys don't know this, obviously, but today I got scared by a squirrel. I was like walking down the street.
We were video chatting.
We were chatting, and I was talking about something, and then I just hear this like scruffle next to me.
And then said things she can't say on this channel.
I said some things I cannot repeat, and so Jess, we're just gonna pretend I said Poe
Dameron.
That's exactly what I said.
Again, if I ever get to write Star Wars and I'm writing like in that time period, I like to imagine that resistance soldiers swear in Poe Dameron's name. Like, you know, like the way on Earth we swear by certain deities. They're just like, Poe Dameron! Like,
that's now a thing in fan fiction, and every fan fiction with that also has like, the tag like Port Haven. So you basically
heard it here first, guys. If it gets popular.
Also, I hope whenever I get any future jobs, like my future employers in my interviews find this video, and then I want them to play it for me, and then I want them to like turn and look at me and just be like, "So what words did you say when the squirrel scared you?" And I'm gonna look them in the eyes and be, "Oh damn right,
Oh damn it."
oh damn."
Anyway, we can't stay on topic that long. It wouldn't be
No,
dope
it wouldn't be us.
dope team stream. Yeah, no, I mean, really, it's that Cobb Vanth, and I like, as Baby Yoda's mother, I was not expecting to walk away from this episode and like have something else be what I was the most excited about.
As the Mandalorian's wife,
Yeah,
also was not expecting. So,
but then we got Cobb Vanth. I don't think we've seen the last of Cobb.
Oh goodness, no. Also because I am a shipper at heart, and I don't think they put things in there on accident. Either it's supposed to be like a, hey, look at this fun little thing, like the toothbrush, or it's supposed to be like, this is going to come up again. And they gave that one character a name. What was it? Joe? And he said, be safe. And I was like, I ship it. That's all it takes for me. So
I thought you were going to say you're going to ship Cobb with Din.
You know what? I ship that too. Star Wars' first polyamorous relationship. Let's go. Look, now Dave and John are just like, Gina, we didn't go that far. Stop. I'm not giving you all your wishes.
I was surprised, actually. John's mentioned his armor. I'm surprised. There's a part of me that's like, in storytelling, you know, the two people are at odds and they make a deal, but then at the end, like, friendship was the real deal. And then, so, like, I was expecting him to get to keep the armor, and then I was like, oh no, never mind. Mando takes this very seriously, and he's not gonna let, like, Hollywood cowboy Timothy Oliphant keep the armor.
I was expecting him to still like want it, take it, ask for it, but I was expecting Cobb to be like, but we did all that.
We did.
No.
We're friends. Can't I keep it? And so I'm kind of curious where this goes, especially if they do stay on Tatooine or come back to Tatooine at some point. Because Boba obviously wants that armor. I just feel like I would be really surprised if we never saw Cobb again. But I don't know how they do that, because he's going to care about his town. So, like, unless something bad happens to the town, like, I feel like we only see him on Tatooine, but I don't know.
Because at first I was like, well, what if something else, like, happens to your town and you need to defend yourself? But then I was like, from this lesson, you all should be able, you know, come together and then defend yourselves or whatever you need to do. And then I don't know why I thought this was so funny, but then I just heard them in the beginning when they were like, what if he comes back and gets one of you, or God forbid, the school? And I don't know why them mentioning the school was so funny to me, but now I'm thinking he was like, the school.
Not the school.
I get it, children are precious, but also the school.
How many kids are in that town, though?
I don't know. It was also one of those things where I was like, a lot of people have been eaten. Is there anyone left for there to be a town?
The school is actually like it's probably like some horrendous name for something else. Like, it's not really a school, but it's like yeah, it's a school, but what are they learning there? You know what I mean? Like, and that's why they're so worried about it.
I thought you were going to be like, the school was really all of us. Oh my goodness, a school is really, okay, you know how you have a school, is it?
Yep, we're back.
Disney's stopping me from giving you this magicness.
Drop it now.
Okay, Disney can't stop me. You know how you have like a group of fish is called a school or something? I don't know, biology.
Yep.
A group of Palpatine clones is really called a school.
Yeah.
And so we're all Palpatine.
We're all Palpatine, yes.
We're all a school.
We're all
and
a school of really Palpatines.
It was Palpatine clones. That's
the next meme I need. I need like a stamp of like 20 Palpatine faces, and it's like a school of Palpatine.
That's amazing.
I'm here for it. I think that would be great.
Thank you. That's my wisdom.
Oh man. So do you think we're gonna get hour-ish long episodes going forward, or do you think that was special for the premiere?
I honestly think it was special. Do you know what? I think it's special, but what I want is irregular hours,
Yeah.
which is terrible for when I'm waking up in the morning trying to plan. But also, I just want them to take, this is my cop out answer.
Mm-hmm.
I just want them to take as much time as they need to tell the story. Because I've watched shows where I'm like, this is 40 minutes and it doesn't need to be 40 minutes. Please cut half of this out. And I've also watched shows where I was like, this is 20 minutes. Please, can you add more?
Right.
And so I would prefer we feel like, you know, there actually needs to be an hour to tell the story. We'll tell it for an hour. There's 30 minutes to tell this particular story. It'll be that. But that being said, they'll probably, I feel like, go back to like 30 to 40 minutes with the occasional hour long for like finales and stuff.
Because I wanted that too if it was like longer, because it could have been like a 2-episode arc. Although Brian's saying he's heard they're all going to be the same length or similar, which I would be down with.
I mean, I'll take it.
I don't know if it's true. Shocked. Okay, so our source Brian in chat says, I appreciate it though. It's very possible. Like I said, I have not been in the loop on anything.
I watched that first trailer and then I said no more. I mean, you guys can say what you want in the chat, but like I was like, I don't want anything else. I want to be surprised by everything.
Yep. No, I'm excited. And then I'm all over the place because I'm just freaking out about how good this episode was.
Good, yeah.
But I wonder, because I think it was John, somebody in chat said that Mando may have saved Vanth and company by taking the armor so Boba doesn't come after it. And I really wonder, like, if we got Boba here, obviously he's going to want his armor back, but like, has he known about the armor and couldn't go after it for some reason? Has he been searching for it and happened to find them and that's going to change? Is he, I'm kind of curious what his play is going to be.
Why didn't just do a little thief in the night and just take it?
Yeah.
I wonder. Those are good points. There has to be like something about him, because I feel like obviously they won't do this for everyone because he's tired, but at least what I would like to see is if you're going to bring all these legacy characters in and people that we're familiar with, there has to be like a little twist where it's like, you all know that they're here.
Yeah.
You all know that they're coming, but they're not like the same. Something happened. And so I would like to think that there's something about him.
It could be.
Which is why he didn't go after his armor until now. Because you would think it'd be super important to him.
I really now I want like a Lifetime movie called There's Something About Boba.
I'm gonna write that.
Please make that your next fanfic. And it's like a story, it's like somebody who's completely unimpressed with Boba Fett, but is like around Boba Fett.
Yes.
And it's their journey to discover what's actually special about Boba Fett. And it's just, there's something about Boba.
And secretly, that's exactly how I actually feel. So we're writing from experience. That's perfect.
I would read the heck out of that.
I'm gonna write that.
And someone in there has to curse Poe Dameron, and they're gonna be like, "Who's that?" You'd be like, "It's not important."
Plugs AO3 account. Let's go.
Boba tries to tell the Mandalorian, sees that Vanth has his armor, goes to question him, and hurts the town somehow. That could be what brings it back. I just don't think we've seen the last. That episode spent too many times on reaction shots with Cobb Vanth to just forget about Cobb Vanth.
At the same time, I don't think we've seen the last of him, and I'm not going to complain if we go back to Tatooine. But I would also like to, I would like, or I'm not going to be also mad if like the next episode starts with us still being there.
Right.
But at some point, I would also like to leave Tatooine.
I mean, we're going to, because we see the ice.
Well, there's a boat.
There's a boat and there's an ice place, so we're definitely going to other places.
I straight up forgot about the boat. I don't like, but oh my goodness, that episode's gonna be so wild for us because like, wait.
I don't think
well
so.
Then.
That's gonna be a rough one. That's gonna be one where we talk about Narnia a lot or something.
Yeah. And then everyone also gets my rant about why cruise ships are.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, if we had listened to you sooner, imagine where we could be now. Completely different reality.
You know that one meme that's like society if so and so, and it's like all that's me, society if they listen to Gina. What's society's actually like a post-apocalyptic wasteland if you listen to Gina.
No, we need to start hashtag shoulda listened to Gina.
Spelled Jina.
Gina, yes. Oh my god, so good. You do not waste Timothy like that. Bring back Vance. The internet is apparently very thirsty, and
honestly,
I think that's gonna become a thing.
Although if we get to the middle of the season and we still don't have Ming Na, then I'm just gonna be like, no, they just like to tease me with like pretty people.
I'm gonna be so mad. Like especially going back to Tatooine. I really think that it's gonna be one of those things, and I'm gonna have to eat my own words. No, just me and Jess. I'm gonna have to eat my own words and be like, nope, it was Boba Fett all along. It just wasn't Boba Fett in his own armor. And then he has Ming Na Wen, and they're like, so it's like Boba and Fennec, and they're like hanging out. And maybe that's why Boba was looking for Mando, is because he was like, I'll go after Mando so I can have armor. Oh, he found my armor. And then, like, Fennec's gonna be hanging out somewhere, and she's gonna be like, he saved my life, so I told him about you, but I actually really like betraying everyone. So I'll team up with you, and we'll take down Boba Fett.
I'm gonna knock on wood because it's too far. I'll do it after the stream. I'm gonna knock on wood and say that in the next episode, he like goes back and he's like, guess what I just saw? And he's like talking to Fennec. And he's like, guess what I just saw? This thing happened. And she's like, well, let's do the thing. And everything you just said. So I'm gonna guess we see her in the next episode. Knocks on wood.
Perfect. I think
I'm gonna be sad if it's not true.
I think that would be great. But as for where this goes to, I'm really excited to see what could happen. I really am hoping, beyond hope, we still get Bo-Katan, played by Katie Sackhoff. I would love to see that. I think the fact that like they were bringing the Mandalorians into the Clone Wars episodes bodes well for something like that. With him tracking down other Mandalorians, she's the one who would want the Darksaber back. Like, there's too many things. And at some point, the show has to take a turn because Moff Gideon is going to come back. And we know we're going to get Greef and Cara back. So, like, I feel like they're going to be involved with Gideon and not the quested to find the Jedi. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, like, at some point, this show is going to take a turn. And I kind of wonder, too, like, in a world where he doesn't meet Ahsoka or something soon, I feel like we could sidetrack away from the Jedi plot, and then, like, a clue to the Jedi plot could actually be the end of the season or something. Because the problem with the Jedi plot and where they take it, and if we end up with the planet of Yodas or whatever, is like, how long does Baby Yoda stay with Mando? Right? Forever. Well, we can only hope. But, like, what is he gonna do? Like, go to the planet of Yodas and leave him there and go, no, I've left him once, I can't leave him again, you know? And then you went on this whole quest line for... I feel like there's a chance that wherever Baby Yoda ends up is the end of the series. Because I don't think we want a series where these two aren't together.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm low-key getting sad about it.
Well, that's where I'm like, I feel like this is going to get stretched out for a while. Because... Or it's going to become a red herring.
I mean, because also, not to do, like, too much, like, future thinking, but John was like, started writing or whatever for season 3.
Yep.
So there's, well, I don't know if that necessarily means it gets greenlit, but I don't see in what world Bob Iger doesn't do that. I don't know who actually greenlit light shows. So obviously, like, there's more. They do something after whatever the big cliffhanger after this season is. But also, a very small note, I really appreciate that it was chapter 9 and that they didn't just start over. I don't know, that's dope. Because, I mean, they're still telling the same story. So maybe once that ends, it goes back to 1 if there's more. But I don't know, I just really appreciated that it was chapter 9 and not like 1 again.
I kind of wonder with that how the show's going to feel on rewatching as seasons. Like, is it going to feel like distinct seasons? Because this felt like a season. This felt like a season opener to the extent that it, like, they had a massive budget change clearly, and it was longer. So, like, production wise, it felt different, but story wise, I feel like you could watch the end of 8 and pick up here and be like, yeah, this is where they go.
Yeah. Like 8, the end of 8 could have been like a mid-season finale instead of like a
and a different show. Yeah, I would agree
finale.
with that. So I kind of wonder how this goes, and is it going to feel like seasons? Because if you look at Clone Wars, it's hard to feel that way because it's an anthology show. But like Rebels, I feel like even though there was an overall story, it had at least half season arcs, if not full season arcs. And Resistance had a completely different feel because they take off at the end of the first season and then they're in space for the second. So like there's that kind of way things feel different. So I'm it's a little too early to tell, but I'm kind of curious in the future when we go back and binge this show, is it going to be like, yeah, the season 1 arc where this, or you know what I mean?
Well, even think about that. That's why, because I was wondering like if we were gonna get like a DVD box set, and then I was like, they probably won't give it to us until like this story is complete. And then after watching this, I was like, oh yeah, it makes sense that they didn't break that up and just give me season 1 box set.
I would love to own it someday just to have it on the shelf. I understand that they probably don't want you to be able to buy it because they want you to get
Disney Plus.
But I feel like once the show is done, then you can release it. Like seasons are novels and entire shows, a series of books. I like that. I can see that. Also, we're getting a book, right? Isn't it January that Adam Christopher's novel comes out?
Yeah, I think so. And
I know it got pushed back, but I think it got pushed back to January. I have to check. But I'm really excited. I like Adam Christopher a lot. He's written for From a Certain Point of View, and he's written some Star Wars Adventure comics.
What if they do an audiobook and Pedro narrates it? I don't really care for audiobooks, but I would listen to
will that into the universe.
Okay, I just got myself. Okay. I have to let you guys didn't see that. It's okay.
Then we really would be having like Star Wars for Gina if that happened. Can you imagine? You like my Baby Yoda voice. Imagine Pedro's Baby Yoda voice. Where he's like,
I'm having a moment in public right now.
Gina's real excited for what would be happening in the future.
I'm so sorry to everyone in this.
She just really wants to hear my dad talk in her ears.
Okay, well, I'm blushing. Okay.
November of next year is when it's being released. They pushed it back again. No. Friggin' A. Well, that makes me sad. I love Adam Christopher's books on he's wrote his own original works called the Ray Electromagnet. You'd think that I'd be able to pronounce it because I like it so much, but it's like a really weird last name. It's like Ray Electromatic or something like that. It's a book series set in like alternate 1950s LA, and in this there's a robot who's a private investigator in Hollywood. And he has his memory. He only has enough memory for one day, for 24 hours. So then he goes back, and his like girl Friday is actually a computer the size of a house who stores all his memory banks, and they solve murders. But he's also kind of an assassin too, which he sometimes remembers and sometimes. It's one of the greatest things I've ever read.
That's amazing.
It's really one of the greatest things I've ever read. I highly, highly recommend the series. I haven't finished it yet because I'm terrible about reading anything that isn't Star Wars. But I've read 3 of the entries, and they're so good.
I want to read that. Yeah,
I highly recommend. So anyway, I'm excited for him to write Star Wars. I think this is where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I think I've said, like, I can ramble on more about, like, the interludes, but I feel like, people, you should just go read the Aftermath books. That's what I would say. Everybody can go back to their thirsting over.
I'm excited for episode 2. I'm excited to talk about episode 2. It'll be good.
I know nothing. I don't even know what the like. I like not knowing what the episodes are going to be called.
Same.
And like I said, that was so fun for me when it said the Marshal, and I was like, no, they didn't. They're not doing it.
I stared at that title card for like a good 10 to 20 seconds because I was like, is there supposed to be another L? And then I was like, no, Gina, that's the name. And then I just kept going. I was like, you're tired and you're thinking too much. Just keep going.
In fairness, I spelt it in like text messages a couple different ways to different people, but still. No, I'm pumped. I'm excited. I can't wait to see what happens next. Just as a quick scheduling note for everybody, we're gonna do these reviews together on the regular, but next weekend, Friday, I'm not going to be around. So I'm gonna, for reasons, I'm gonna go hide somewhere for a couple of days. No particular reason. It's not like there's any really traumatic thing going on in the United States right now that is directly impacted by my job and mildly affecting my mental health. So I'm gonna go get out of town for a couple of days. So next week, there probably won't be much content on this channel at all. But the week after, we will do sometime during the week a stream about episode 2, and then probably that Friday, episode 3, as well as announcing the next book club video. So next week's gonna be quiet because I'm gonna go hide. But the week after that, there's gonna be some stuff. We're gonna have things to do. So be on the lookout for that. Twitter is a good place to find the link. And Discord is always a good place, so you should join our Discord. But that's what I have, Gina. Thank you for being here. This is
Thank you
wonderful.
for having me.
And I will talk to all of you out there later. Thank you. If you haven't already, please like the stream. I would appreciate it. Bye, guys.